Chapter 14. Mari searches for the truth. 10:30 p.m. Monday 17th of August 1970. Hôtel Marquis, Rue Grenata, Paris. I find that it has come to this. There is no doubt that Valerie killed Charlie Stout. Considering how he treated her and her mother, I can't help feeling that he deserved it. I'm sorry that Valerie must stand trial for his murder. As she said herself, it's a pity that he ever came to Paris. It seems cruelly unfair to take advantage of her trusting nature, but it's her or Liana, who is absolutely blameless, and so I harden my heart and set about extracting a confession from Valerie. Let's go get some coffee, Valerie. She shudders, pure wee lassie. This has been a time straight from a nightmare, she says as we make our way through to a small coffee shop in the Hôtel Marquis. I have never been there before. Ellis had always brought me into the room with sofas, to have tea. When we have our coffee, I get straight to the point, because I have no taste for this kind of conversation and I don't want to drag it out. How awful for you, Valerie. Being right in the middle of it when those bombers were trying to get hold of a detonator to blow us all to smithereens. You must be terrified. Not so terrified as on Friday, she blurts out, and then puts her hands over her mouth as she realizes what she's said. It was so frightening. She adds, almost to herself, why did he have to come to Paris? And then Harry said to show him the view. I don't know why Harry brought him. Harry brought him. Yes, don't you remember? I told you. I was going to the van to get a filled croissant for my supper, and I met Harry coming in. She doesn't remember anything clearly. She thinks that she has told me all this before. So I say, Harry came in with Fergal and Charlie Stout? But I'm not really asking. My tone is the tone in which I let a girl know that the answer she has given me is correct. Valerie responds to it, she glows just like the girls in 5C do. Poor Valerie. So desperate for praise, so seldom getting it. Valerie is continuing. Harry and I went into the ticket queue. But then Fergal came. And he said something about wires. I don't remember what, it didn't make sense. But Harry said we would leave the queue because he needs to do what Fergal wanted. And I said that this is not a problem, because I can stay in the queue. What is it that he wants me to say for him to the ticket staff? But Harry doesn't tell me. He says no, someone must stay with Charlie Stout, he must be watched. And he tells me to take him to the top of the tower. I don't want to. Why must he be watched? I ask why cannot Fergal watch him? I did not bring him. I want to go home. And she breaks down completely and begins to cry. This is not turning out as I thought. Valerie is not confessing to a murder or even to being involved in an accidental death. She is confessing to being an unwilling accomplice to the bomb plot. Even if she escapes the death sentence for the murder, which she might because the murder wasn't premeditated and she was in a terrible state at the time, the French police will nab her for terrorism. I'm not so sure that Charlie Stout's death wasn't accidental, after all. But it makes no difference. They will lock her up and throw away the key. She will never come out of this, never. I'm heart sorry for Valerie. But Liana's freedom is at stake too, and I harden my heart. I reach over and stroke her hair. It's okay. I murmur it's okay, knowing that it's anything but okay. My heart is breaking for her, but I go on extracting the confession. She turns and casts herself into my arms and she's crying as if she will never stop. It was so awful. She says, who would have thought it of Fergal? Thought what? I'm getting confused, but I steel myself to deceive her and go on stroking her hair as I ask, so Harry made you take Stout up the tower in the lift? She raises her head in astonishment, tears pouring down her face. No, of course not. He needs me to translate. It is Fergal that he sends with my Fath. And she's crying a torrent again. This story is growing still more tangled, and I'm lost. What happened? Was it Fergal who threw him from the tower? But it can't have been. Valerie was there. I remember her voice on the tape. I hate you. Click, you should never have come here. You will not go away in. You horrible, wicked, cruel man, you deserve to burn in hell forever. The words were recorded at the tower, she was there with him when she said it. She must have thrown him to his death. Tearfully she gets out her story. They were all together at the top of the tower. Fergal, Harry, Valerie, Charlie Stout, the lift attendant, whose name is Henri something. Fergal tells everyone, she wasn't coherent enough for me to understand why, but Stout is Valerie's father. He's sneering about the old photo of Charlie Stout Valerie keeps in her car. Valerie is devastated. She stammers out that Fergal is wrong, but everyone knows, or poor overwrought Valerie thinks they know, her father is standing there refusing to acknowledge her, just as he has always done. She is beyond reason, overcome with shame. She begins screaming at Stout. I hate you. I wish you were dead. You should never have come here. You will not go away in. You horrible, wicked, cruel man, you deserve to burn in hell forever. But Tax Charlie just stands there, staring at her without saying anything for a few moments, and then he turns to Harry and begins to speak to him. Valerie can't bear it. All these years, and now she's right in front of him, and he's still behaving as if she doesn't exist. At that point in her story, she's too shaken to go on. I make her drink a little water and take some breaths. Gradually her breathing gets less raggedy and she goes on. When Stout had turned away from her, she charged at him and began to shake him. At first he tried to get free from her grip on his arms. Then he begins to shake her too. And as they are rocking back and forth, Tax Charlie bumps into Harry, who drops something. And then Harry, this is the really horrible bit for Valerie, she has a lot of difficulty in forcing the words out, and then Harry, as calmly as if he were lighting another cigarette, just reaches out, pulls her father out of her hands, puts his hands around Stout's neck, and squeezes. Stout is struggling, but that doesn't do him any good. Harry squeezes harder, and Stout's face goes purple. He's trying to say something, but no one will ever know what, because Harry squeezes harder still, and the words are lost. Harry puts on more pressure, and Stout suddenly goes limp. Then Harry takes his hands away, and Stout drops to the floor. And Harry lights a cigarette, turns and says to Fergal, "Take the garbage out." Just as calmly as if he had really been talking about emptying a trash can and not. Valerie can't speak anymore, she's practically in hysterics. So I calm her and soothe her and make her take a few more sips of water, and then I get the rest of her story, inch by inch. Fergal moves forward and picks up whatever it was that Harry dropped. Valerie can't tell me what it was, she never saw it, and gives it back to Harry, who puts it into his pocket. Then Fergal waves for Henri to come to him. The two of them pick Stout up, and throw him over the waist-high barrier, off the top of the tower. And then Harry takes something out of another pocket, and he shows it to her. It's a mini recorder. He hits playback. And Valerie hears her hysterical words, "You should never have come here. You will not go away in." Sounds like a death threat to me, Fergal. Harry says, looking as unconcerned as if he were ordering a cup of coffee. What do you think? Sounds like it. Fergal agrees. Harry and Fergal tell her that she must lie about everything that has happened or they will make sure that she is accused of Stout's murder. When they play that recording to her, Valerie knows how bad things look for her. She is terrified that a court would believe what they say, that she is the killer. Yet crazy and mixed up as it is, I realize that for Valerie the threat of trial for murder is not the worst part. She'd rather face a death sentence than have people know she's a love child. Poor Valerie cannot bear the thought of the circumstances of her birth coming into the open, and when she whispers a little about what things were like for her when she was growing up, I can almost understand how she feels. Raised by those harsh aunts, who condemned and punished her mother for having taken a lover, whose cruelty is part of why the poor woman was driven to her death. And when her aunts took Valerie in, they rubbed her nose in how good she must be to try to atone for the sin of having been born. Yes, the church can be cruel to unwed mothers. But not like that. The church doesn't blame the child. And the mother's family are usually kind. Poor Valerie, she has been so unlucky. And then to meet her father in such a way. How deeply she must have hated him. But as I had always known in my heart, if only I had allowed myself to believe the truth, She is sweet through and through. She could never have killed anyone. I should have known better. I castigate myself. I have been condemning her on the same kind of nothing evidence that Inspector Claremont used against poor Leanna. As Valerie whispers on, more facts emerge from her tangled story. It becomes clearer with almost every phrase that she knew nothing about the bomb. Yes, she is prey to pathological hatred of the father who abandoned her, but she was not part of Harry Brown's vicious conspiracy. She is confused and frightened and upset. It's clear that she was caught up in the roller coaster of events, just like me and Leanna. But unlike us, Valerie is only half a victim. She didn't know anything about the bomb, but she knows Harry and Fergal are cold-blooded murderers, and she let them get away with it. She was coerced and bullied, but she is still an accessory after the fact. I soothe her and promise that she will be safe. I don't know whether that's true or not, but what else can I say to the poor lassie? Then I call in Ellis. As always, he has a solution. He says that there is a place just outside Paris where Valerie can get help. A hospital in a beautiful chateau with acres of grounds. The residents rest and enjoy nature, and gradually they heal, those who can be healed. Ellis tells me that most of the residents in that place are healed eventually because the people who get sent there have all been victims of traumatic events which made them a bit crazy. The doctors who work there slowly help them to become balanced again. It is the best and safest place for Valerie. Soon the men in white coats come to take her away. She seems willing enough to go. This has been a dreadful time for her, and she is ready to hand her life over to anyone who offers her a respite. I have recorded everything on the machine Ellis had handed me before Valerie and I went into the coffee shop. Paris is safe. Fergal and Harry have been picked up. The Benson and Hedges butts Harry left beside the bomb will prove he was a terrorist conspirator, and there is a mountain of other evidence. Everything will be shared with Italian Interpol so that the bombing conspirators there can be caught too. I am glad now that for a little while I was the goat in the clearing. What Ellis said is true, I wasn't staked there to be eaten, and he didn't let the tiger reach me. Buck up, old girl, we need to toddle down to the lockup and get your friend out.